I love your opening question here in this story. Can a guy in a MAGA hat get a date in Missoula? Would anyone buy a woman in I'm just going to say a pink hat, a drink in Jordan? So what'd you find out looking at this Atlantic magazine research here?
Well, surprisingly, I'm going to just say surprisingly, Jordan and Garfield County and Petroleum County next door ranked in the highest percentile for political tolerance. They almost all vote the same way. It's one of the most red places in the country, but they're rated the most politically tolerant. Only about 5% of counties in the entire country were seen as more politically tolerant.
So the deepest red, the most rural parts of Montana, which stereotypically speaking, I know folks in other states would think, well, that's got to be where the most intolerant people are at, right? You're telling me that the most tolerant people are in places like Jordan, Montana?
I'm going to say the most politically tolerant, because that's what it found.
Okay, just to be specific there. All right, yeah. Well, meanwhile, where were the most politically intolerant Montanans, according to the data?
Butte was the least politically tolerant place in Montana. So something like 6%, I think, of counties were in the entire country were less politically tolerant. And then Missoula. Helena, Lewis and Clark County was somewhere in there on the least politically tolerant side. Basically, cities tend to be less politically tolerant.
These Montanans are most likely to hold your political beliefs against you. And we've all come across some politically intolerant folks out there. Well, they've actually mapped it out now. The Atlantic magazine has mapped it out, and they've even got data here in Montana that shows the most politically intolerant people in the state and in the nation. Kristen, thanks again for joining us here at the last minute on this show. So when you first came across this data, what was kind of your first reaction? It's kind of a cool map that they put together, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I did want to see nationwide where the most politically intolerant places were. I don't think anybody beat Massachusetts, but Texas is right up there too. So again, you see both sides. Places where they tend to care the most ardently about politics and are extreme right or left. And in Montana, so I thought it would echo in Montana, but in Montana, the farthest right places were the most politically tolerant overall.
Yeah, and so I think this was the Daily Caller did a little write-up on this as well, and they note now, while the Atlantic magazine doesn't outright come out and say it, that basically, if you look at what their data says here, that basically what they're saying is that it's older white liberals that are the most politically intolerant group in the country.
Older white, educated, wealthier, yeah.
Yeah, because what they say here is that they say that those who tend to be whiter, more highly educated, older, more urban, and more partisan themselves, that basically these are the groups, and all these places that they're describing as the most politically intolerant are largely the left-leaning counties in the country. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, this is polling in Trump's America too, so it's harder, I suppose, to be tolerant if you're on the losing side.
That's true. Yeah.
People took that really, really personally when he was elected.
Do you get the sense that from like people in Great Falls, or I know our friend Phil Drake covers the Capitol in Helena for the Great Falls Tribune. Do you get the sense that really that's what this division is like right now? That if you're anti-Trump, that folks are just they're more angry right now. So they're more likely to be angry if they see somebody in that MAGA hat than say a guy in Jordan seeing somebody with her pink what hat on. What does he care? Trump's still president, right?
Yeah, I would say that's probably accurate. If you look at the Women's March, for example, what drives that kind of sentiment?
Yeah.
We see a lot of angry liberal women, especially. And again, I'm sure that factors in when they go to decide, well, who do I want to work with? Who do I want to date? And then we just see this political divide growing. One thing they say in the story is that it's people who spend the least amount of time interacting with people from other sides and other perspectives, people who are in an echo chamber, who don't talk to all different kinds of people. They're the ones who keep demonizing the other side and forgetting that good people and people with good ideas come from all political viewpoints.
It does seem like it's gotten crazy where, it used to be, in Helena, Republicans and Democrats would, and I'm sure it still happens to a certain extent, but it used to be just more frequent where you could disagree on policy issues and still at the end of the day, go have a beer or a cup of coffee with a Democrat or Republican at the end of the day. And now there's some people who it's like, well, I couldn't be seen with that person, or my party would shun me, if they were spotted out. I mean, like Van Jones, for example, who was Barack Obama's green energy czar. He showed up at the Conservative Political Action Conference last week, and now he's being called a sellout for praising conservatives on criminal justice reform. So you literally can't even show up to the other side's events or even be seen in public anymore without getting attacked.
I would say it's also on a very intimate interpersonal level. So I don't know which side it's trickling to or from, whether in personal relationships or political relationships are being hit the worst. But yes, that spirit of compromise is what makes democracy possible. When it's not, power isn't just a hammer you wield over the other side when you get a chance, but a position of where you reach out a hand to the other side and incorporate their good ideas with your good ideas. And that was what makes democracy function.
Yeah, which, that could be another topic all in itself when you look at how the political parties operate, especially right now in Helena. One side sticks very closely together. They never stray from the party line, whereas, the Republicans are maybe a little more fractured. The moderates might peel off in support of this initiative or that initiative. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how certain lawmakers will also toe that party line as well. Well, Kristen Inbody with the Great Falls Tribune, you always have interesting write-ups and reports and provide a fun perspective on the news, and always with a Montana angle. So thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, good to talk with you.